You are not healing in order to handle trauma. You're used to trauma. You are healing in order to handle joy. Hey, it's Jasmine here. Today we're talking about accepting joy in your new season and moving from hurt to healed to whole. I'm so excited to be sharing that in today's video. We are moving from a place of pain to a place of joy. Like success, healing is not linear. It is not just straight up to whole, right? And so we do go through all of our different journeys and paths, and that looks very different for all of us. We make adjustments, we handle not only our unhealed selves, but those around us who are working on their own healing. And we accept them. We learn to apply grace to others. We learn to forgive ourselves. And then we find ourselves sometimes with a myriad of feelings before we enter a place in a season where we have joy and peace and abundance. And so throughout our video, I have 6 different concepts that we are going to go over, as well as some strong women in the Bible who embody and really show us how that looks. Think as you go through this video with me, which of these women you are most like. Who can you learn from? So let's get into it. Number 1, moving from protection to connection. This is a shift from self-protection, which is rooted in trauma, to genuine connection in relationships. So our trauma ends up rewriting our brain's function to keep us in a state of homeostasis, even if the situation we are in is toxic. It is familiar to us, and so that is our baseline. Often, we will see fear and anxiety start to arise as we enter new relationships, even if they are healthy for us, they are better for us, they help us to grow, they help us to see ourselves in the best light, as well as offer protection and support. That can feel scary and dangerous. Overall, good connections and partnerships help us to uphold boundaries while letting joy and love in. And so we see this in Ruth and Naomi's relationship. Although Ruth could have looked at Naomi and saw her as, comfort, she could also look at her and see like that was, the mom of my late husband. And so each time she looks at her, she could see fear and scared and really not being able to move past that trauma and that death that she experienced. But she actually is able to build on that relationship while having a healthy boundary, because it, turns around later on in the story that Naomi encourages Ruth, hey, you need to, allow me to find you a new husband so you can have protection and you can have support and you can have all the things that you need as a woman in this life. And so their relationship is one of good connection where they have support and love for each other. Number 2, embracing collaboration and partnership. And so this is kind of like a step up from point 1. It is imperative for our joy and healing to release forced relationships and embrace healthy partnership. You are doing the right thing to let go of relationships that no longer serve you or are one-sided. That time and energy can be used to cultivate a stronger relationship with someone who is also pouring into you, that brings joy and true support. And when we kind of let go of those forced relationships, sometimes we do go through a process of grief and sadness because our eyes are fully open to the situation and how some of our loved ones mishandled us, and that the situation wasn't what we thought it was entirely. And so we can look at Ruth and Mordecai's relationship, where they demonstrate the power of partnership. And so just give you a quick little and so what this is looking like is once Esther finds favor with the king and she is now in the palace, Mordecai, her uncle, was the one who encouraged her and supported her and pushed her to make sure that she was in that group of women who were able to have a year of beauty treatments and cleansing trainings and things that would make them ready to be a potential queen. And then when she was there, she found that favor, right? And so now that she is in the palace, Mordecai gets word that their people are in danger. And so she ends up working from the inside out while he's working on the outside in to make sure that their people are protected. And so they were working together to make sure that the same outcome was achieved. When we are in friendships and partnerships, we all have a common goal. And so we want to continue to work for that. We want to push the relationships forward. And don't get it wrong, Mordecai on his own was a man of high regard. That helped as well. So that meant that he already had good character. He adopted her and took her in because that was his family. He did right by her, and she also made sure to do right by him, protecting him because another high guard in the castle was trying to get her uncle. Yeah, they were looking out for their family, for each other. Multiple layers there, not only just, her immediate family, but also their greater nation as a whole of people. All right, number 3, moving from fear-based to heart, soul-based decision-making. Be guided by your inner heart and truth. That feeling of intuition, sometimes it is going to go against the grain, and no matter how hard you try to convince others of what you are feeling, what you're experiencing, what you inside and internally know to be true, you may not get that validation from them. So it's okay to make that decision that's based on what you feel inside of you, because fear-based decisions lead to more fear, and then you never find that peace. Never find that peace because it keeps you in a state of low vibration versus doing or acting from your heart and soul decision making, where even if you are doing something that other people don't agree with, but you know to be right, you are going to find that sense of peace and calmness and stillness settle over you, and you can go forth in that decision. And that helps you to accept the joy as you walk into that new season. Heart and soul decision making offers us peace by bridging the gap to joy in our new season. So intuition is very powerful, and some people know it as the Holy Spirit that dwells in us. Our girl, Mary, the mother of Jesus, she did that. She was in her bag with that one, literally in the bag. Okay, because she accepts her role in God's plan for Jesus to go ahead and start performing that first miracle. Okay, she said, if you don't go put that water in that wine sleeve, and by the time it gets out onto the dance floor, the people at this wedding need to be in high spirits. It better be some wine, okay? And so she's seeing that as, hey, this is what I know to be true, because I believe that my son Jesus is going to fulfill his miracles and do what he's supposed to do while he is here on earth. And so he can go ahead and get started right now. Today is a good day as any other day, right? Is what she's thinking. And then Jesus, not to say that he was fearful, but he does mention, that by me doing this miracle, it is starting the clock to my crucifixion and then ultimately my resurrection. And so he wasn't ready, but she knew what she needed to do. And so she trusted what was inside of her. Go ahead, like this video, comment below, and let me know who you resonate with. And then be sure to share this. I know there is a woman, a mother, a sister, a girlfriend in your life who could benefit from watching this video, to know that they can make that transition over into their new season and accept the joy. All right, number 4, dropping self-deprecation and picking up self-validation. When we aren't fully whole, we operate in guilt tripping, silent treatment, passive-aggressive behaviors, perfectionism, self-sabotaging, and the like. When we pick up self-validation, it leads us to self-acceptance, growth, faith, and a positive outlook. Ultimately, self-validation fosters self-love and happiness. A little sign language, which in turn offers more kindness rather than criticism. And so, picking back up with our women in the Bible, Hannah shows us prayer, persistence, and belief in her self-worth led to the fulfillment of her desires. She is able to bring forth and birth a child from her barren body because she believed and had faith that she could have a son. So continue to hold yourself in high regard, because as you do that, you are birthing and bringing forth so much more to this world. Number 5, shifting from lack and deficit to abundance and surplus. As we proceed forward in life looking and accepting joy and positivity, we stand to gain much more than we lost and receive a greater abundance because we have released the spirit of lack. I heard this saying before. If it ain't one thing, it's another. And so it's with that mindset and expectation that as soon as something, happens, we should expect that there's something else is going to happen. And there's always just going to be this thing, and then now it's this, and then it's that, versus, really staying in a place of abundance and knowing that whatever comes to you, you can handle it. You're done, and then you're happy again, versus just waiting from one bill, one problem, one headache, one discouragement to kind of just keep volleying back and forth without ever landing in that space of happiness and joy and knowing that you got it and you're going to be okay. And so this is probably my favorite one. Oh yeah, she dropped that spirit of lack. I'm talking about the woman with the issue of blood. She proceeded forward in a crowd of people to touch just the mere hem of Jesus's robe. She could have looked at the situation as lack, since she was not close enough to ask for her miracle. She could have saw that line of people, the people surrounding him, and thought, I missed my chance. I'm just going to turn back around. I'm not clean anyhow, so I shouldn't even be outside. But instead, she took her faith, let that be the surplus, with his robe to get what she needed for her future. Okay? She saw herself, she saw Jesus, she let her faith be that surplus to stand in the gap. And she was like, I'm just going to let him right there. Okay? She did not go home empty-handed. She went out there and she knew what she was on a mission for. All right, and point 6, our last one. Freeing the old you and embracing the present you. Be joyful for who you are and where you are right now. I'm so glad I don't look like what I've been through, and I'm so glad you don't look like what you've been through. But you take what you have been through and you use that strength and those triumphs to help your lineage going forward. When you let go of the past versions of you, forgiving yourself fully for all those mistakes and shortcomings, you find a capacity of might and force you didn't know was in you. And so, finishing up with our last woman in the Bible, Rahab. Rahab did not have the cleanest past, as she is considered to be a woman of the night, if you know what I mean. However, her strength and her street sense saved her household in the battle to conquer the promised land. And so, in the Bible, the first time they mention her, she is a prostitute. But the very last time they mention her, you know what they call her? Rahab, by her first name and comma, mother of Boaz. Boaz was a strong man. He had lots of character, lots of strength. He had land. And then not only that, but he still respected other women and held space for them, because in my previous video, we talked about Ruth, who came and is working in the field, and he could have saw her as like, who is this woman? And no, I'm not going to take that burden of responsibility. But instead, he offered grace, just like his mother saw spies seeking something. And so to protect herself, she didn't have a husband. So you know what? She acted as the head of her household, and she secured the land and that lineage for her family. She stood in the gap and made sure that regardless of who she was, her past, that she was going to do what was necessary, regardless of where you are and what you have been through. It is not over for you. There is so much more that you can do. Use all of these women, use your street smarts, use these tips, and walk into your new season. Have that joy. I am so glad that you tuned in for another video, and let this video be your call to action. You go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe. Let's continue the conversations. And as you know, until next time, be brave, be confident, be joyful. You belong. Goodbye.